our subject is basically you. The object, the goal, is the ultimate that is obtainable by any one of us, and the subject matter pertains to the ways and means of getting there. Everyone in the universe, every living being, is seeking the exact same goal, unaware of the fact that each and every one of us is doing just that. Most of us call it happiness. Those of us who are a little more aware call it the spiritual, but yet it's the same thing that everyone is seeking. If one discovers exactly what is this thing called happiness, he discovers that it is nothing but his very own beingness, his very own essence, and that through forgetfulness or through ignorance of the fact, he seeks his own beingness, his own essence, in external things in the world, and never, ever gets satisfied seeking it in the world. The world can never be a place of utopia. The world can never, ever give us what we want. And we go through lifetime after lifetime trying to achieve our goal in the world. And in very silly-like fashion, refuse to see that we never get satisfaction in the world. And intellectually it's very simple, because if we were able to get satisfaction every time we got what we wanted, we would be satisfied, and it would be the last time we wanted that particular thing, whether it's as big a thing as food or sex. Were we able to be satisfied, we never would want any more, right? And here we go on trying and trying and trying to get satisfaction in the world. Attain everything that's attainable in the world, fame and fortune, reach a terrible disappointment when we get it. Witness the field of show business, the people who get the greatest fame, the highest of fortune, they commit suicide. If they don't commit suicide, they go generally in offbeat directions, trying to discover happiness elsewhere other than their fame and fortune. And yet, we who see them achieve it and not get satisfaction, we try to repeat their gross errors, even after we're told all about it. Most of us still look for satisfaction in the world. Again, never finding it. So, what to do? The most recent song of the Beatles is entitled Let It Be, Let It Be. Number one, don't get involved in the world. Why? Getting involved in the world is getting involved in the wrong direction. It's getting involved in the problem. It's not the world that needs straightening out. It's the trying to straighten out the world that needs straightening out. The world is in the wrong direction, and when we discover what it is through the right direction, it turns out to be an apparency, an imagination in our mind. Because the only place we can see and cognize the world is in our mind. And this is very obvious when you go to sleep. When you put your mind to rest, where is the world? It's gone. If you never awaken again, there never is a world again for you. And yet you go on. So the way to understand the real reality, the truth of everything, is only in one direction. And that is in the direction of discovering you. By taking your attention off this world and putting it wholly and totally back upon you, with the question, who and what am I? Until the answer comes, and the answer will come, it must come, if we are interested enough in getting the answer. If our interest is more on chasing after the world, looking for our happiness in the world, we will never, ever discover our inner self, our unlimited capabilities. Each and every one of us has no limits except those accepted through our concepts of limitation of ourselves. If you could drop all your thoughts of limitation right now, you would immediately discover that you are unlimited. But we persist in holding on to these concepts of limitation. We hold on to the concept that we are this extremely limited body. And that is about the biggest lie there is in the universe, that we are this limited body. When one turns his attention back upon himself and keeps it there, he discovers that he has no limits, that he is infinite, that he is perfect, omnipresent, with all power, all knowledge. And if you assume that to be so, and you look at the way you're living now, how unlimited a life are you living? Or are you living an extremely, almost infinitesimal way of life? The latter turns out to be the truth of it. as infinite beings, we live like infinitesimal beings. We think we're a body that a temperature of 50 degrees could destroy, or an inner temperature from 98 to 108 of 10 degrees we falsely believe could destroy us. And this is how limited we appear to be to ourselves now. And there is nothing we need to discover who and what we are except ourselves. You need no books. You need no teachers. You need nothing but you, because you are an infinite being. The only necessity is the desire for it. And to the degree that we have a desire for it, to that degree is a quickness of discovery of ourself, or selves. Now everyone in the world is seeking this, and his every act, he calls it happiness. And when you go into it, you discover that this happiness is just we being ourselves. It's so simple. Why don't you do it? You people who have been at it quite some time. Why don't you do it? Should I answer? We don't want it. Enough. Of course you want it. Otherwise you wouldn't waste time listening to someone like me. But far more you want the illusion, the material of life. This body is nothing but carbohydrates and minerals, and yet you identify with it as though it were you. How can you discover this infinite being you are when you want to be a tiny batch of chemicals? You can't. And this is why you're not recognizing you in a matter of minutes. Second, I started for those who were here for the first time, and I moved right into those who have been here before. But we all fit the same identical pattern. We all think we're different, and every person is different from every other one. We have different directions and ideas and so forth, but it isn't true. Every one of us is almost identically the same. An infinite being acting almost totally limited. Pretending to be what he or she is not. Now, discovering you discover everything there is. Because you are that unlimited being that you are seeking. You are that total happiness with no sorrow that you are seeking in the world. You are the Alpha and the Omega. If you have any questions about this, I would be very happy to try to answer them for you if I could.
This is a problem with myself and why trying to quiet the mind, but I find out in order to quiet the mind, I'm using the thought to quiet the mind. Now, sometimes I find out if I try to study the thought, I'm actually working indirectly quieting the mind. But I wonder if you can help me in describing describe a thought. What is it in a thought?
You know what a thought is. Did you ever have a thought? Right. There's nothing you know better than thought because you have them all the time. But I think what you're asking really is how to quiet the mind, right? How to use thought to quiet the mind?
Yes. If I can know what a thought is, like you say, I have thoughts all the time. What is going on to have a thought? Is it certain type of awareness? Versus mind itself that presented itself as action. Action in the mind?
Mind is nothing but all your thoughts together. The sum total of all your thoughts is called mind. The thoughts you don't look at now are called your unconscious mind. The thoughts you do look at are called your conscious mind. It's as simple as all that. But the mechanism of mind starts this way. Originally, we were all infinite beings in a passive state of infinity. We decided that we would like to change that and be infinite beings in a positive state of knowing that we are infinite. And so we had to start limiting ourselves to discover that we have no limit. We are the infinite all. In that state there is nothing to experience. It's only a state of being the all. And so we created the first instrument of thought. After the first desire to be separate, not to be the all. I am an individual separate from the all. In order to do that, I have to have such things as concepts of separation. And I do that through a thought. I am not the all. I am not the all is a thought. Then we use the thought to materialize in what we call the physical world. The physical is the aftermath of the thought. We think up I am a body, and then we materialize it. So we set up this mechanism of thought in order to imagine ourselves, to image ourselves as separate from the all. And we continue this process on down, from the very top state down to the lowest state possible. the state we are in, called the physical world. And we believe that we are these bodies. Now this is the lowest one may go. We are now on the way up and out of this state. Most of us will graduate from a dense physical body to a lighter, more subtle body, to a still lighter, still more subtle body, before we return to the state of no limitation whatsoever. A body necessarily must be limited. So we started out with concepts only to imagine ourselves as separate from the all. We started with one thought, and then there was two, and then there was 1,000,000, and then there was hundreds of millions. And right now, there's probably hundreds of millions of thoughts in our subconscious mind active this moment. Now this is why the problem seems so difficult. We have plagued ourselves with millions of thoughts, and we won't even look at them. We call them unconscious. We operate every cell in our body. I think there's billions of them. That takes billions of thoughts alone. And so, by acquiring more and more and more of thoughts, we came into a more and more limited state until we got into this present state of greatest limitation. Does that answer your question? The thing to do now is to reverse it. Go back home.
To reverse it, then you stop creating thoughts. Apparently, since when he was asking us to stop creating thoughts and to do that, one must almost realize how he creates these thoughts. Otherwise, you can stop it, but if you stop it a moment accidentally, you never have awareness. It is consciousness.
I never heard of anyone stopping it accidentally.
Well, that's it.
But I hear very much of the opposite. Well, see, the key is in understanding how it began. Be the all, seek the entirety, seek the infinity, and the mind is totally gone when you see it. Seek yourself. When you're able to see yourself, you can recognize that you are not the thoughts, and you can drop them all. It's possible to drop your mind just like that.
Yes, so I see a moment in that, and then I fall back to the thought.
Well, feeling moments of it is not dropping your mind. You're momentarily moving away from it. You do it every night when you go to sleep. You do it beautifully. Moving away from it, but not undoing it. There's two ways of undoing thoughts. Which are the really only two ways of growing. One is what I call negative gain, which is positive. I call it negative because it's a process of eliminating thoughts one by one, of process of eliminating ego, which is the motivation behind thoughts. Working to eliminate your thoughts is a very, very slow process. Seeing what you are is a very, very fast process. Discovering you is a process that would last weeks or months if you did only that. But we don't do only that. We do that for a short while and we feel good, and then we try to express it in the world and go in the opposite direction.
Back and forth.
Anyone
Why? Now this is a point. This is again the point that we strive for serenity, and then I'm going to go back and create a thought. It seems to me that there's some kind of strange feeling that, like what you actually be honest about it, too many we don't want to know. We turn always back to the world. We turn for moments away, and we begin to experience, we go the right direction, and then all of a sudden, either fear comes or desire to have the world or the body, and it seems like a seesaw. I'm second foot.
Yeah.
There seems to be a feeling that, which is totally wrong, I know, but there seems to be a feeling that if you go off the right direction, that if you will, I know you will gain identity, but there seems to be a feeling because you're losing your identity in the world, you think you will have nothing in the world, and all of a sudden you say, well, am I really ready all of a sudden to take off from the world, and the illusions come over and back.
But you'd never give up, you just take on more. Becoming infinite is not losing anything, but it's becoming all.
Yeah.
See, that thinking is just an excuse not to. But if I do, I will lose something. You don't lose, you gain.
So you lose in a sense even your own interest sometimes. You lose in the world, and then you wonder, that there's a human part, I presume, which wonders.
All right, if I get interested in the solar system, do I lose my interest in the world? The world's in the solar system, right? If I get interested in the galaxy, am I still interested in the solar system? I am, because the solar system is in the galaxy.
True, yeah.
As you take on more, you don't lose what you had, you gain more. Right? So why do you tell me you might lose?
Well, the thinking process agrees because what is this? This is a mystery. There's a feeling something or some unconscious thought. Something is holding back apparently. I'm trying to analyze what it is.
Because you believe this extremely limited way of living is the way to do it. That to be just this body, that's it. This is what I'm saying. This is your belief. Rather than what I'm suggesting, that you believe that you are infinite. And you falsely consider one the opposite of the other. If I thought I was this body and every other body in this room. I don't lose this body, I just gain every other body. Right? This is what actually happens. You identify with all beings. You become everybody. Not only the body you formerly identified with, but you will identify with everybody.
But you identify through a state of consciousness.
Through recognizing that you are.
Which is a different set of functions than when I identify the body. My body is my senses. And you do seem to disconnect yourself from senses when you come closer to the identity.
That is true.
And this is
your narrowest method of perception is through the senses.
Yes.
See, looking through the senses is like looking through a pinhole at the world, at the universe. And you say, all I see is that much, and that's all there is. And someone comes along and says, you're infinite. Just drop your blinds and don't look through the senses. Look through your omniscience. Discover it by looking at it, by looking at you, the I of you, not the physical sensations. And by putting your attention back on you, on the I of you, you discover that you have no limitations. Simple. But you won't do it. You'll do it for a short while. You'll do it for a few hours. And then the majority of hours, you proceed to do all those things which assume the opposite. Right? How long should it take you to discover you? No time. But we are so plagued with thinking that we are these bodies that we just don't let go of I am this body long enough, even for 1 second, to see what we really are.